I think most of us today know someone who has or had cancer, who's died from cancer in many cases. I wasn't so much afraid of dying once I realized what I was dealing with, as much as I was afraid of what I was leaving behind, which were my kids and my family.
I was terrified when I heard the C word. My primary instinct was fear that he would die and fear that our kids wouldn't have a father.
Being diagnosed with prostate cancer, I knew nothing about it. Kind of thought of it as a slow impact disease. It wasn't likely to kill you until you're like 80. We discovered that that was not the case.
We recommended surgical removal of his prostate as his best chance for cure, given his young age. But we also know that given the fact that he had a very high-risk cancer, that surgery by itself had high recurrence rates.
I had very aggressive, we called it overachieving prostate cancer cells, and that the diagnosis was much more serious than certainly we would have expected.
But then it kept getting worse and worse because as the tests were coming through, we were beginning to understand just how significant it was.
At that time, we had a large clinical trial open, randomizing people like Don to either surgery alone or pre-treatment with 6 months of hormone therapy plus chemotherapy, something called neoadjuvant chemohormonal therapy. He agreed to enter in the trial. He was randomized to the 6 months of chemohormonal therapy and went on to have surgery.
Life becomes much more precious. I have to admit, God, I've been freaking happy I lived, you know. For me, there was a real goal of being able to go to the 2010 games, and sure enough, I did recover in time.
He was damned and determined to be there with his kids for the Olympics, so they would always have that memory.
Before prostate cancer, I was focused on my family, but I worked an awful lot. After prostate cancer, those moments with my kids, I think I cherish them much more after having gone through this process than I had ever done before. I've seen a lot of things. I saw my daughter graduate high school. I've done all kinds of things with my boys. My message to my boys now, as well as to other men I know, some of whom now have been diagnosed with prostate cancer, is don't hide it. Get tested, talk about it, share these intimate realities. I think it helped me understand better what masculinity is, and certainly what's important to me, both as a man and as a father.
I think what Don is illustrative of is, as a patient, how he has benefited from the concepts of bench to bedside research.
If it hadn't been for the experimental research stream, I don't believe I would still be alive.
The fact that he was part of a clinical trial for an alternative way of dealing with cancer that was more robust saved his life.
The fundraising and the money that goes into support these kinds of cutting-edge experimental research activities, I think are really critical.
Other people aren't making it, other people are dying, and we are just really lucky that we were here, that we got the opportunity to receive this treatment, and because of it, my husband's alive and our 3 kids have a father.
Don is a great example of somebody who has benefited from your generous donations, so thank you.
Thank you to the doctors and to the donors and to all the other staff who saved my life. Thank you for my family.
Squeak.
Squeak.